Thank you, Senator. Ranking Member Gillibrand.
Thank you. To Allison Barkoff, average electricity costs have risen 11% since January of this year, which is more than 3 times the rate of inflation. Families just can't keep up with the spike in costs, particularly older adults on fixed income, in the winter when heating costs are necessary to keep them alive. Approximately 2.4 million Americans rely on the LIHEAP program, Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, just to afford their energy bills and make cost-efficient repairs to their heating systems. Can you tell us what ways does LIHEAP support older adults and people with disabilities' ability to live in their community of choice, and how would funding cuts to LIHEAP impact this population?
As you mentioned, so many older adults and people with disabilities are living on fixed incomes and are low income, and programs like LIHEAP are incredibly important to help them be able to afford to stay in their own homes and communities. LIHEAP is a program that is targeted to the people who are most vulnerable to adverse health conditions when they don't have access to adequate cooling or heating. And the statistics based on HHS's own data is over 42% of LIHEAP goes to households with older adults, and more than 35% to households with people with disabilities. So cuts to this program can make remaining in the community and aging in place both unaffordable and unsafe.
Thank you. For Emily Landau, this past weekend we commemorated the 50th anniversary of the Individuals with Disabilities Act, or the IDEA. IDEA guarantees students in preschool and K through 12 a free and appropriate public education at the least restrictive setting possible. The Department of Education plays a crucial role in making this guarantee a reality for millions of students across the country, including 550,000 students in New York State. However, I was alarmed at the targeted reduction in forced notices that were sent to the Office of Special Education Programs within the Department of Education during the government shutdown, and they sent a letter imploring the administration to immediately reverse these RIF notices. Ms. Landau, can you talk about how important accessibility and reasonable accommodations are for students K through 12, and how cuts to the Department of Education will impact our students with disabilities?
Thank you, Senator Gillibrand, first of all, for your advocacy to ensure that access to education for all children remains intact, and also for bringing up this very vital topic. And I really want to be sure to draw a very clear connection between this question and the topic of community living, because being able to live at home and be the beneficiary of HCBS is such a vital part of the equation that actually allows kids with disabilities to attend school, which was true for me because I grew up attending a local public school. And I had a Section 504 plan that secured the reasonable accommodations that I needed to fully participate and succeed in school. And so both IDEA and also Section 504 of the Rehab Act are really essential protections for students. And the Department of Ed plays such a vital role in enforcing these laws and distributing resources. So I, like you, have grave concerns about these efforts to dismantle the Department of Education through reductions in force, funding cuts, and also relocation of key programs, like moving the Office of Special Education Programs to exist under HHS, which I do believe could send this country backward towards segregating students based on diagnosis rather than expanding educational opportunities. So I'll just wrap up by saying that I believe the changes that this administration is currently pushing are not going to, as they claim, quote, improve outcomes by empowering parents, states, and communities, but instead threaten the futures of more than 7.5 million students with disabilities who, like all students, should have access to education as a pathway to graduation, college or career training, employment, and, of course, economic opportunity in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. For Mr. Resendez, today we have highlighted the services and supports that older adults and people with disabilities need to live independently. These services and supports are often provided by direct care workers who assist older adults and people with disabilities with activities of daily living, such as dressing and bathing in home settings. Unfortunately, these workers may face systemic challenges and turnover in this workforce approaching 80% in they already faced this in 2023. More recently, the Department of Labor has published a proposed rule that would exclude home care workers from minimum wage and overtime pay protections. It's why I'm introducing my Domestic Workers Bill of Rights Act next week to patch the flaws in existing labor laws to ensure that workers who provide home and community-based services and other domestic workers have the same rights and dignity as workers in other professions. Could you please speak to the importance of the direct care workforce and to both home and community-based services, and elaborate on some of the challenges this workforce faces and how protections like those outlined in my Domestic Workers Bill of Rights could help?
Thank you for the question, Senator Gillibrand. One thing is clear: family caregivers rely on direct care workers. We see this in our research. 1/3 of family caregivers use paid help, direct care workers, home health aides, to help support their care recipients. This partnership between family caregivers and direct care workers is essential. Without adequate paid help, family caregivers will shoulder more intensive responsibilities, with 24% already providing 40 or more hours of care a week. Our research shows that 28% of family caregivers now have difficulty finding affordable services like in-home health care, up from 22% in 2015. So anything that we can do to stabilize the direct care workforce benefits not just these essential workers, but also millions of family caregivers who rely on them as being part of care teams to deliver care in the home sustainably for long periods of time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.